You know that song from the Lorax that became a very popular TikTok audio? How bad could it possibly be? Let's see. Yeah, that's been stuck in my head for months because I truly did not anticipate being bombarded with this slop in real life. Ew! It isn't just found while scrolling anymore. It is an infestation the general public is welcoming into their home. If I can't convince my own elderly family members why this is creepy and incredibly off-putting and killing our planet, what else can I do? I guess I'm gonna make a video.
That's the best part.
I have already shown a lot of remorse for this, but for the sake of being transparent right at the start, I need to acknowledge that for the first half of 2023, I truly had no idea how terrible AI was and is for artists and for the environment. I thought it was just a silly online game. For me, it truly was a Trojan horse. Some people predicted how bad this would get, but I can only speak for myself. I am not immune to propaganda. I did not expect for anyone, or at least this many people, to take generative AI seriously. At the time, I only found it amusing because of how non-human it was. It felt like a novelty everyone would collectively get sick of because it's quite stupid. All of these memes are the definition of slop, but it all starts with underestimating how much CEOs value quality. These giant corporations don't give a shit about properly paying employees, and are trying to find a way to provide as few jobs as possible. So what makes you think they're gonna give a shit about the consumer? Oh, because the consumer is the one giving them money? What if these conglomerates owned so many companies it was inevitable that we'd be giving them our money one way or another, without them having to put any effort in the product? Not only have they become unavoidable, but what if the world also conditioned the consumer to not give a shit about quality either? Why am I making this video? Well, last year I was looking for Christmas gifts for the kiddos in my family, and I wanted to make the effort to go out to the mall in person. I'm avoiding Amazon as much as I possibly can, which has become significantly more difficult since Party City has closed down. I don't know where to buy wigs locally. We try our best, okay? I wander into one of the stores and realize very quickly it's full of off-brand stuff, otherwise known as stealing intellectual property. That's existed forever. It predates AI many, many years. But what is the quickest way to steal nowadays? AI. AI targeted at children specifically makes these Cocomelon-like overstimulating monstrosities. There is no point, there is no story. It's a funny sounding word with a baseball bat looking man. Even though this character is from a genre called Italian brainrot, this little freak is named Toon 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 Toon.
One eternity later.
Toon 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 Sahur, and it's meant to mimic the sound of a slit drum. It solely got famous because of the catchy names that echo in your head until you're forced to say them out loud. Our brains are actively rotting in real time, but the actual appearance of these creatures, beyond soulless and off-putting. Let's try to understand the appeal better. According to Wikipedia, it went viral on TikTok and Instagram due to its combining uncanny valley and internet irony, reflecting the post-ironic humor of Generation Z. What the fuck is post-irony? Exactly that. Post-irony is when earnest and ironic intents become muddled. This is why everyone, including myself, need tone indicators nowadays, because what does that actually mean? What are you saying? Is it now cringe to try and properly communicate thoughts and feelings? They're making being a human uncool. This is why robots are catching on. It's funny because it isn't. The appeal is that there is none. Right after I talked about how anti-human social media and just culture is getting, this popped up on my For You page. Esther reads from her Substack, and I just have to share a clip. I'm gonna share the link to the full TikTok. Highly recommend you watch it.
I am truly convinced that the reason why people are such haters these days is because we have taken ourselves out of dance spaces and into online spaces where we just reject our humanity. All messiness is cleaned and corrected. Any mistake is hyperanalyzed and turned into discourse. No one's allowed to see you sweat or trip over your feet. Even other people's joy can feel threatening if you've been conditioned to numb all feelings. Take Gen Z, for example. There are a million think pieces about how club culture is dying because no one wants to dance. But can you blame them? The only dancing they've experienced is during the pandemic, watching 15 seconds replayed over and over, dissecting every little detail of what I presume was someone's 20th take.
Let's talk about the actual products. Look at what I saw in the store. Now, as plushies, I feel like a lot of offline parents would just assume this is from a cartoon show, or maybe assume it's just a standalone toy. They don't know the context of this. It's just a shark with shoes. Sure, Timmy, I'll buy you that. This is probably the most unassuming form. It only stuck out to me because I knew what it was from. When you actually know what it is, it's quite the jump scare to see out and about. But the plastic junk with the packaging that shows the original AI images, these creatures with giant veiny feet. I'm sorry, at that point as a parent, some alarm bells have to be ringing, right? Something is telling you that this is something you should stand firmly against, right? I mean, it's also called brain rot. The warning is right there in the name. That's like going to the carnival and being like, oh, here, Timmy, do you want shit from a dick on a stick? Come on! Where are those parents that used to stand against violent video games? This crocodile is a warplane dropping bombs. I know this sounds like a joke, but it's actually really damaging. On TikTok, this was paired with a disgusting audio that was joking about genocide, and now I'm seeing this in a toy store? But even without the terrible context, why would you want your child playing with this? Where are the Karens? The lack of effort is especially apparent in these amazing digital circus characters. We have a very tall Kane with gums for teeth and teeth for gums. Kinger looks the most normal, even though he grew arms. Ragatha's arm is completely broken. Somebody help her.
He needs some milk.
She's also clearly not herself. Evil Jax, and most concerningly, giant fleshy faceless Pomni, and who the fuck is that? I reverse Google image searched this shit, assuming it was from another franchise that they accidentally stuck in this box, but the only thing that came up were more confused people talking about it on Reddit. They just created a character hoping no one would notice. This is probably AI generated. These ripoffs have existed forever. The red flags are all over this store. This true Mickey set, pretty bold. We have Minnie wearing her eyes as a mask, and Donald is dying. This Mario must have come back straight from plumbing because he's covered in shit. I know this is gonna sound like a leap, but I feel like anyone gifting this to their child is negligent. It's not like the prices are even cheap. There are toys and books that you could buy for significantly less that don't suck ass. Anyway, I thought this mediocrity would only be limited to this store. But glancing quickly at the kiosks, that little bit of optimism I had quickly faded. Huntrix from K-pop Demon Hunters with these terrible AI faces. They do not look like themselves. Oh look, they're doing the 6'7" meme. The joke is that there's no joke. The joke is that we just parrot things hoping others just go with it because is this community? Is this making friends? Ha 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 ha. The Han Moon has not been sealed and will never be sealed because we are surrounded by evil everywhere. If you're like me, you've been hearing a lot of YouTubers complaining about late stage capitalism.
Worldwide dwindling of capitalism. Late stage capitalism. And everyone is just trying to do something to just make a dollar. Doesn't matter what the impact is. Let's just make a dollar. Make a holler.
You're not talking about us.
All of us. All of us are just cogs in this great big machine that is slowly poisoning and killing all of us.
It feels like everyone is ranting about this all the time. There's a reason for that. When we read dystopian novels, it's supposed to send a shiver down your spine. It's supposed to be a cautionary tale, a warning. Speaking of, let's read some quotes from The Giver. I reread this whole thing just for this. 'Cause you ain't gotta tell me It's just in my nature. So take it like a taker, cause baby, I'm a giver. Oh no, these are just lyrics from Chapel Roan's The Giver. I think you're all mean to her for no reason, by the way, but that's a topic for another day. Now for the actual quotes. What a silly goof. I'm so funny. It's the choosing that's important, isn't it? And then the next page. He found that he was often angry now, irrationally angry at his group mates that were satisfied with their lives, which had none of the vibrance his own was taking on. And he was angry at himself that he could not change that for them. I love this book. I read it for the first time in middle school, and now it's taken on a completely different context. Jonas and the first receiver are the only ones that can see color. They're the only ones that really feel anything. And the reason for that is there's this council that controls everything. They took away the colors in their community. They assign jobs. They assign who you're gonna marry. They assign children. No one is able to make decisions for themselves. This is where I'm going to sound like an old geezer. I think TikTok is making us stupider. The endless scroll, it desensitized us to giving up part of our autonomy. Things should not be forced into our eyeballs. I know they say don't judge a book by its cover, but imagine instead of looking at covers in a bookstore or a library, every book you walk past screams its first 2 sentences at you. No matter how upsetting, no matter how much we knew from the title and cover that this wasn't for us, we're now hearing it. And we have to run by the shelves a lot quicker. Imagine instead of buying a movie ticket, we had to go into the theater, sit down, and listen to the first few seconds of every movie before we could decide. We need to have more of a say in what we consume, and quite frankly, we should be consuming a lot less. We are all so afraid of boredom, we overstimulated ourselves to the point where we actually are bored by everything. This isn't normal for creativity. I highly recommend this video on it, but long story short, we are working our brains at overdrive to take in anything to the point where we are unable to process the thousands of short form videos we watch weekly, and our brains have crashed. Quick, tell me what TikTok you watched 10 swipes ago. Our eyes are glazed over. We will accept any entertainment or news, even if it's shit ass. This is the world where AI can thrive. Also, I need to fight with Wikipedia for half a second because they describe AI, Italian brainrot, as absurdism, and I feel like that does such a disservice to what absurdism actually is. I am making a full video about Charlie the Unicorn sometime this year because I really fuck with the ending. Not enough people have seen the ending of Charlie the Unicorn. Highly recommend. I mention this because the creator's commentary on the Blu-ray included this.
On June 28, 1914, the Archduke Franz Ferdinand was assassinated. This led both to the First World War and also, in a more roundabout way, to the creation of Charlie the Unicorn. Hello. I am Jason Steele. I made this cartoon in 2005. I'm recording this commentary in 2025. 20 years have gone by. Goodness gracious. World War I had a devastating psychological effect on pretty much everyone alive at the time. An unprecedented war, filled with horrors the likes of which the world had simply never seen. A war on an industrial scale, soldiers packed in trenches with the rotting corpses of their fallen friends. The Dadaist artistic movement was born from this war. Dadaist art was intentionally nonsensical. The world had gone mad. Art, therefore, must also lose its rationality. Dadaism was anti-war, it was anti-capitalist, it was anti-colonialist. Deeply political in its intent, completely chaotic in its execution.
This is why I hate slop being lumped into the same category. Even though humans type the prompt, there's nothing human about the end result. Whereas the original absurdist movement was irrational as an act of rebellion, pointing out the disorder in the world to scream into the void about it. I refuse to categorize anything made by the machine as an art form that rages against itself. It doesn't. I know morality isn't necessarily linked to this philosophy, but I get protective of it as an art movement. I wish there was another word for, like, evil absurdism. Oh wait, there is! It's slop! It's non-biodegradable slop! Here's where I have to unfortunately scold some of you, because how AI affects us can impact how we affect others. On one side of this massive spectrum, there's AI psychosis. The people who turn to AI for advice and, in extreme cases, therapy, and truly believe they have a connection to this unfeeling, cold yes man, or yes, robot, rather. On the other side of the spectrum, where I see a lot of you watching fall into, is AI paranoia. You see human-made art, anything CGI that catches your eye in the wrong way, and accuse it of being AI. I am really disappointed in the response my last video got, where I made this really long 2-minute intro, pretty much pleading with people, hey guys, can we be normal? And the comments responded with a resounding no. Let me read you my pinned comment. Guys, unless there's confirmation of AI use, I can in good conscience theorize, mistaking human-made animation for AI will only encourage companies to fire more teams of real people. If you have evidence, that's one thing, but people have cried wolf before. For example, Alice's Wonderland Bakery is another Disney Junior CGI series. It is human-made, but people have accused it of being AI. Human-made art is not above criticism, but the paranoia and misuse of the word slop will cause more harm than good, I assure you. Do you think the comments listen to me? Obviously no. And a lot of the people in these comments claim to care about artists and the future of hiring animators while actively hurting them. Reporting back to one of the largest companies in the world that they're going to be accused of this thing regardless, so they might as well not pay people for their work at all. What are we doing? We wonder why this slop is so pervasive, but then we don't encourage actual artists. And that's not to say that every piece of art is for everyone just because it's human-made. But what I'm saying is, I wish the people that were so passionate about rejecting AI were just as passionate about encouraging and uplifting real art that they love. I also think a lot of you need to learn how to let bad human-made art exist. If someone is asking for critiques, try to be helpful, encourage reference images, give specific notes about the line work and color theory. I don't know, I don't draw, but I swear, as many people as I see shit on AI, I see way more real artists getting shit thrown at them just for putting out imperfect work. It isn't cringe to try, it isn't cringe to create, and if it is, we should all be cringe. Listen, I know that making a YouTube video is very different than the medium of animation, but I still think that this tweet just proves my point that words are losing fucking meaning. Zoomer slop, because people talk about something they find amusing. YouTube used to be, and should still be, anyone setting up a camera and talking about whatever the fuck they want. Not everything has to be life-changing. Things can exist just for fun. Like, we shit on fun. Oh, why is everything spicy? Who cares? You and your own argument is like, enough people watch it. So yeah, and you don't have to. That's the amazing thing, is you don't have to. You don't have to have an intellectual reason not to like something. You can just not watch. Why does this have 15,000 likes? What happened to this is not for me? What happened to scroll? What happened to what Zoomer slop? What? I actually need this person to break down what they mean for me. If this video gets to this person, I really need you to explain. Because slop to me is like low effort. You could put a high amount of effort into shit that doesn't matter. That's the entirety of my channel. Am I Zoomer slop? Also, I want to leave you with a new argument against AI, because there are people out there that can't grasp the importance of art. Think the jocks that grew up and still continue to hate theater freaks. Ask them if they would mind if every athlete at the Olympics or the Super Bowl or the World Cup, what if all of those people were just robots competing against each other? Would that be just as fun to watch? And they'd come back with, no, of course not, because it's a show of human strength and dedication, and then maybe they'll start to get it, maybe they'll look into what they're buying for their kids and how it can negatively affect them. I don't know, we have to start somewhere. These conversations, unfortunately, need to keep happening. I feel crazy too, trust me. I hear all this hopeful talk about the bubble popping. I'm gonna be real. I don't believe it's gonna happen. I hope I'm wrong. I think we're just gonna have to keep actively explaining why this sucks. So we all agree, AI toys, boo, stinky, bad, right? What if I were to tell you there was this non-AI toy of Wizard Athena with a removable beard and butt shirt, only available for the next this many days? 8 days! Plush, you choose Athena, only 8 more days! Get them before they're gone. Maybe you should grab your U2's Athena P plush. Had to plug that at the end right there. I'm sorry, okay? I just love her so much. I want as many of these things to exist in the world as possible. As many Italian brainrot, disgusting toys exist, I want there to be just as many of this. I know that's impossible, but I can dream, okay? Have a great day, guys. My next second channel video on here will be all about the Great Wolf Lodge Scoops Kids Spa. I missed such a huge defunct attraction, and I am making up for that, okay? I will never be over it. Even after buying this animatronic right here, I'll never be over it. I thought I would get it out of my system. I can't. It's called being passionate and loving human-made work. Try it. Bye!